Welcome back to Hannity. Today marked the 19th straight day that the People's House remained closed to the public, and we can all thank President Obama. And while the White House is still unable to justify why the American people should pay for his lavish lifestyle, you know, the lifestyle of a rich and famous first family, tonight we're demanding this administration, it's time for them to do their fair share. He loves to use the word balance, fair share, and cut back on these costly family vacations. Joining me now with reaction, townhall.com contributor and Fox News contributor Katie Pavlich, Democratic strategist Penny Lee. Penny Lee, how many vacations you take a year?
Oh, 1 or 2, 3 or 4.
1 or 2, 3 or 4? Well, what is it? 1, 2, 3 or 4? Give me an answer. Oh, no,
Well,
what's a good vacation year for Penny Lee, a Democratic strategist? What is that?
Probably about 2, maybe 3.
Maybe 3. Okay, so do you think
it just depends on when the holidays.
Hawaii, Aspen, Florida, Tiger Golf, and now spring break, 4 family vacations. Do you think, especially that we're paying for it, 50 million Americans on food stamps, 1 in 6 in poverty, 14 million Americans on disability, you think maybe the optics of this aren't too good? Maybe they should cut back a little bit and do their fair share?
Sean, as you know, every president has taken vacation.
I didn't
as
ask
far
about
as scaling it back, scaling it
3
back.
months.
George W. Bush spent 35% of his presidency on vacation.
That's all. I looked into the numbers. That's not true.
I looked at the logs.
You're counting Camp David. Stop. That's not true. You're looking at false numbers. You sound like Goolsby. All right, but I'm asking, 4 vacations, 50 million Americans with food. You don't have any problem with it. You don't think there's any extravagance here, bad optics?
I think every president is entitled to take a few days off and to be able to go and refresh.
Play with Tiger.
So I have absolutely no problem. Every president has, and every president going forward will.
President let him eat cake is how I view this White House, Katie Pavlich.
Well, let's take a look at, yes, every president is entitled to vacation. Now, is every president entitled to 3 vacations in a 3-month time period?
Actually, 4.
I don't think so.
Don't forget spring break.
4,
you forgot spring
break, yes. And at a time when, you know, the White House has closed the People's House for middle-class families who are in Washington, D.C. to see the White House on their spring break, which they took a lot of time and money to save and pay for, I think the optics look very bad. They should absolutely open the White House. These vacations cost a ton of money. We can have the White House open for a lot of months when you compare it to the amount of money we're spending on these lavish vacations.
I forgot a few other things. 118 rounds of golf. We got a lot of, as we see there, the pictures, we got a lot of basketball sessions that took place. We got a lot of concerts. We got, oh, and by the way, Adele and Beyonce are coming to the White House. Then, of course, there's the great shooting session by President Mark Smith, President Smith and Wesson there.
And that
I'll
was
give
at
him a
Camp
lesson
David.
for free.
I mean,
Oh,
I mean, where I'm missing, Sean, is those pictures of George W. Bush cutting down trees in the middle of 2 wars.
What George W. Bush is, he gave up golf during the war because he didn't want families of brave men and women seeing him playing golf while they're out fighting a war. And
but he had no problem
but he
going
was responding to the conditions.
Crawford. He had no business clearing brush. He had no problem doing all of the vacations in which he did.
Excuse me. He wasn't playing golf. Yeah, cleaning brush and riding a bicycle. That's what he did for vacation. But a lot of this time, Katie, what they're trying to do here is here you got these lavish parties, vacations, and they're making this some moral equivalency.
Well, yeah, and I think that there's a huge difference between playing golf, going to Hawaii, taking separate flights. Let's not forget that Michelle Obama took a separate flight to her Hawaii vacation with the 2 girls because she didn't want to wait around for President Obama to finish his business in the Capitol. Remember that? And then she also took a private trip to Colorado.
Separate flight to Martha's Vineyard.
Separate flights all the time. In an age when we need to be thrifty and regular everyday Americans are being thrifty, it would probably be good if the Obamas could at least make it look like they're trying to be regular people instead of paying lip service to the rest of us. They're not trying at all.
Yeah, meanwhile, the poor children, which Obama claims to care about, they're suffering. They can't go into the White House, and yet maybe if they cut back on a vacation, maybe they should do their fair share, Penny. Maybe they should have a little skin in the game and do their patriotic duty because, you know what, they're not doing their fair share. They're spending way too much. We can use that money for the children.
Let us be clear. Republicans supported the sequestration, and the choice for the Secret Service was between furloughing agents or cutting back on tours.
It was the White House's decision to close the White House.
And I think it's an easy choice. Instead of furloughing agents, let's cut back on tours.
You know what? Let them eat cake. Eat cake. Enjoy it.
You know what, Sean?
No children get to go to the White House. Obama's got to fly a $180,000 an hour trip to to Hawaii, separate planes.
When Obama's on spring break with his daughters, the little kids in Washington, D.C. will be standing in the cold, unable to go to spring break inside of the White House.
Crying they can't see the White House, crying that their trip has been canceled, upset. You know, all right. That's what Democrats, they don't care about the children. You know, it's just a reality.
Sean.
No, they don't, because they're choosing their vacations over the little children.
Oh, please.
Maybe President Obama should make an offer like you did, Sean, and offer to pay out of his own pocket to keep the White House open.
Like I did, and
Again, there was a choice between furloughing agents or keeping the tours.
All right, I would say no vacation. If it was me, if I was president, I'd give up my summer vacation and put the money into opening the White House again, the People's House.
How about walking the dog on your own instead of paying a dog sitter?
I open the door. I walk my dogs all the time.
The dog.
I'm like, go out and go do your business.
Often walked by himself.
All right, guys, good to see you.